Welcome back to another Pirkei Avot text explication with me, Rabbi Drew Kaplan. We are on the final text in the third chapter of Pirkei Avot. That's right, the 18th text in the third chapter. This is a fairly short one, as it turns out, by Rabbi Eliezer ben Chisma, Rabbi Eliezer, son of Chisma, and it's a very math and numbers oriented one, which is interesting because we don't often think about or talk about or hear much about specific numbers and calculations, first of all, certainly within Pirkei Avot, and then even more broadly within rabbinic literature. Numbers happen, they pop up, yes, but this is focused on numbers. He says, the laws of mixed bird offerings and the beginnings of the menstrual cycle are the most important, the body of halacha, the body of Jewish laws, and the calculation of the equinoxes and gematriot are the desserts of wisdom. And gematriot, it sounds very familiar because it's basically like the Greek of geometry, right? The geometrical calculations. Okay, all very numerical. So he said, now to me, what comes across is almost as if he is saying, even though we typically think that it's the opposite, it's in fact the reverse. Meaning, when we think about calculation of the equinoxes and sort of the moon cycle and all the different holidays, which are important, as well as gematria, which is numerical equivalencies. So, for instance, in the Hebrew alphabet, every letter is accorded a numerical equivalency. And then people play around with that, do their addition and subtraction and so forth. And he says these are merely the desserts, or could be appetizers to wisdom. So it's not, but what he says is they have something to do with wisdom, right? They're associated with it, but they're not the main, they're not like the entree, as it were, right? That's not the main part of it. But what he does say are the main part are kinim, these mixed bird offerings, which is a fairly obscure set of laws when one brings a couple of birds for an offering in the temple, and what happens, especially if things go wrong. It's a lot of numbers. There's various logic associated with that. And then the other one is an interesting one, Pirkei Nida, which is the beginnings of the menstrual cycle. Because the menstrual cycle is associated, there's a lot of impurity, there's impurity associated with it. And so knowing when that begins to then also know when it concludes is very important for knowing when people are pure and impure. So specifically women. And so that's an interesting thing. That these things, he say, these are the main mathematical things when it comes to halacha, and the gematrias, and also the calculation of the moon. They're nice. They have something to do with wisdom, but those are not as essential. They're not like the entrees, as it were, to the meal of halacha. So this is a short one, but it's a nice way to go out in the third chapter, and I look forward to starting the fourth chapter, which will be very exciting. And that I will get to after Passover. So in the meantime, I want to wish everybody a happy Passover, and I'm so glad we could finish this third chapter of Pirkei Avot. All right, thank you so much for watching.